The editor is with his family, so we're doing this thing old-fashioned style, which means me, by myself. You get to see the magic that I create. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. We're talking about Nintendo Direct news and the latest reports that have come out this fine Memorial Day weekend, including when is this show gonna be? We're gonna discuss all of that and more. Make sure to hit that like button if you are excited for the next Nintendo show, which really will be one of the biggest in years, because we know like literally nothing that they're going to show. Nothing that they're going to show. Usually we expect like an update on Splatoon 3 and an update on the progress of this game and such in development and the DLC. We don't know. Who knows? Is it time for Tears of the Kingdom DLC? I don't know. But let's start off with what's been going on today. All right. So first off, we had this post. Colin Moriarty has heard there'll be another PlayStation showcase later this year. Now, I've seen a few different sources, leakers and insiders, reporters and whatnot saying that, hey, there's going to be another State of Play later this year. There's a big to-do about the PlayStation showcase because it didn't have a bunch of games that people were thinking or hoping it would have, and apparently a lot of those are in fact almost ready to go, so they will be shown off later this year. But this isn't a PlayStation video. This is about a Nintendo video. I just wanted to show you where this first started spawning. This was 5 hours ago, and then a little bit later than that, we got this tweet. Hey, that's over my face. Editor! I'm the editor. Alright, that's why I can do this. This guy who looks like, you know, American Truck Songs 9, that seems like a nobody, but this is actually a senior editor at Kotaku, Kotaku.com, big video game news website. Sources are telling me both PlayStation and Nintendo will have additional digital showcases this year. Keep your eyes tuned to this channel and watch the space for more developments in the coming weeks and months. Now, on one hand, like, this is a duh, right? On one hand, it's like, okay, Nintendo is going to have another showcase, and PlayStation is going to have another showcase. But at the same time, I do want to point out that this is notable because no insider thus far has heard or said anything about a Nintendo Direct. There was a lot of scuttlebutt about the PlayStation showcase coming in May, and then ta-da, it came. A lot of times we get some sort of inkling from insiders that Nintendo is prepping a show, and we've had nothing of the sort thus far. So the summer of reveals for Nintendo right now is dead. It's underneath the ship's surface, right? It's just hanging out in the brig with the rats, all right? Bilge rats and all sorts of pirate scum is where Nintendo Direct futures are because nobody's heard anything. So this to me is somewhat notable because nobody said anything. Now, Ethan here, who is, again, a senior editor at Kotaku, could just be basing this off of, hey, past precedent, right? But he also says sources are telling me that both PlayStation and Nintendo will have additional digital showcases. He is not saying Xbox. We know theirs is coming up on June 11th. He's saying PlayStation and Nintendo. Now, when will Nintendo's be? Because honestly, thank goodness they're having another show. You may say, like, well, duh, they were going to have another show. But that's not the case. Like, honest to goodness, Nintendo has behaved so strange as of late. And as recent as last year, they kind of just jumbled up their traditional E3 formula. This year, we knew that even before E3's cancellation, they were planning on not attending E3. So it really is kind of like a thumbs up to hear this. Now, I want to draw your attention to something that happened in 2017 as we look to sort of pin when this will come out and what will be shown there. I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to give you guys sort of a first-hand look at what I was taking a peek at. This is a video from August 23rd, 2017, and you'll notice that we have Nintendo here presenting the Luncheon Kingdom from Super Mario Odyssey for the first time ever. This is at Gamescom in 2017, and Nintendo is hyping up their November game. They actually brought big Mario people, Kozumi, and others to Gamescom to show off new levels and to bring, obviously, merch, as you see, Cappy, and all sorts of good stuff. Now, that makes me wonder if Gamescom is again going to be the timeline for new/more Mario. I think Gamescom, which airs this year, August 23rd to August 27th, is sort of like the cutoff day. That means between now, May 28th, and August 23rd, I think Nintendo needs to have some sort of direct. I think their presentation that Ethan is referring to, or that anyone is hypothesizing about, will be within that time frame, because Nintendo is going to want to bring something to Gamescom. And it's very interesting that in 2017, they brought their big Mario game as sort of their centerpiece to their Gamescom presentation. It makes me think that Nintendo could once again have a big Mario game as their centerpiece for their Gamescom presentation. Now, is that Mario Odyssey 2 and they're going to show off a new kingdom again? It could be, But to me, it seems more likely that it would be 2D Mario. And I feel like 2D Mario could get a presentation of new graphical style, new gameplay mechanics, maybe even different characters, different world, different setting, I don't know, a revolution of the 2D Mario formula. That could be the focus of Gamescom. Again, I'm going to bring your attention to another document here, which is our Nintendo Direct schedule for the past couple of years, okay? Let's look at it this way. Last year, they did Directs in June, but they were Direct Mini Partner Showcase and Xenoblade focused. Now, we could again get a Pikmin 4 focused Direct that's totally plausible, and that could house this June slot. But they used the end of June, weeks after the normal E3 timeframe, to present Nintendo Switch games from Nintendo's developing and publishing partners. They did not talk first party until their September 13th show, 2022, but within that time frame, between Direct in February and Direct in September, they did have a Pokemon Scarlet and Violet show, a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 show, and a Splatoon 3 show. So Nintendo didn't take the summer off at all. Even if we look back to past years, they had a Direct at E3, June 15th, 2021. In 2020, which was a very strange year given the pandemic, they had a Direct Mini in March, and then they came through with Smash Bros. DLC on June 22nd, they had some Pokemon Presents on June 17th and June 24th, and then they had a Direct Mini on July 20th and an Indie World August 18th, following up with a partner showcase on August 26th. You'll see they had a Ring Fit Adventure, but that was a China exclusive promotion and presentation. Let's go back one more year to June of 2019, where they had the E3 Direct on the 11th, all right? And then they had Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC again on the 30th in August. Nintendo has never skipped the summer as a whole. Even when things were weird, as you see here, even when things were different, you know, they typically did their June Direct, but even such stuff as like, Cold Step Revolution in June, okay? This is a very strange year here. 2016, they basically skipped E3. This is when the only thing they had, I believe, was Breath of the Wild at E3, if I'm not mistaken. And look, they still, September 1st, right at the tail end of summer, and June 22nd, despite it being a Japan-only show, they did have presentations. There's never been a time where they completely, utterly sat out this summer. May, June, July, August, they're always in there. So that tells me that 2023 is going to be no different. 2023 does not have anything yet in this time frame. We have two Indie Worlds, one Indie World, one's just a Japan air date, and one is a North America, Europe, Australia air date. And we have the Nintendo Direct back in February, and we have the Mario Bros. Direct, the final trailer that I don't fully count. So Nintendo is going to have something happening this summer. You can almost guarantee that based on past precedent. And we're starting to get the first rumblings, no matter how small the rumble is. Look, you can say that this is a small rumble and maybe not anything super significant, but I think it is because it starts the train of Nintendo beginning to maybe start to talk about what their plans are. Now, we inevitably expect to hear something from other sources as we approach because Nintendo typically gets third parties involved, and when that happens, there's many more places and people for things to leak out. And a lot of insiders have connections not just to Nintendo, or maybe not even Nintendo, but better connections to third parties that are less secretive and maybe more Western focused than Nintendo's sort of HQ stronghold is. So as we get closer to July, as we get closer to August, I think we will start to hear more rumblings. I see a lot of people still holding out hope for a June Direct, and I'm not feeling it this year because Nintendo did say that the E3 timeframe did not fit their plans. And the E3 timeframe would have been that June 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, that week, smack dab in the middle of June. Perhaps Nintendo's timeframe is better served at the end of June, but I think if it's like a 2-week thing, you just do it at E3. Before E3 was canceled, when Nintendo said we ain't going, I think you just do it at E3. I don't think you do it a week or a week and a half later and say, oh, we just wanted to, avoid the spotlight? That doesn't make much sense. I think Nintendo was planning all along to have some sort of presentation closer to Gamescom. Now, whether that is mid-July, whether that is early August, whether that is literally right up before August of Gamescom. Like, if we look back to that 2017 date, here, I'll take you to this again. If we go back to sort of that 2017 time frame, they had a Nintendo showcase on August 30th, but their directs were Dragon Quest XI and Splatoon 2 in July. They still did their E3 spotlight, and then they brought Mario Odyssey to Gamescom at the end of August. So they went July there with some showcases, and they had June. So Nintendo honestly could do anything. It doesn't have to be in the week leading up to Gamescom. It could be a month before with more to come at Gamescom, hands-on, get press involved, things of that sort. I feel like end of July, beginning of August is sort of the timeline where I would expect a Nintendo Direct. That is not based on any source information. That is just me kind of looking at the puzzle pieces from past years, putting 2 and 2 together, and kind of trying to figure out where Nintendo will go. The other reason is, once Pikmin 4 launches on July 20th, there's nothing. And I feel like shortly after, Nintendo will want to start the pre-order train for something new. They'll want to get the numbers going. Past Zach would have said Nintendo will absolutely have a Direct before July 20th, but Nintendo didn't announce anything before their recent investors call. They said, hey, we have Pikmin. Crickets. If I had an editor, there'd be cricket sounds here. Okay? Nintendo didn't have anything. They revealed nothing new. They said Metroid Prime 4 is still on the horizon, and Pikmin 4 is July 20th. So Nintendo is not afraid of having a blank slate. They're not worried about that. They can do that. And that's why I feel that they will let Pikmin get the hype, and Pikmin might even have its own dedicated Direct. I could see that as being a possibility in July. And then Nintendo presents a bigger showcase in early August. Maybe that's what they do. Sort of the third option that I can see here is another smorgasbord of awkward third-party partner showcase, Direct Mini, Twitter drops, and a Pikmin 4 Direct, things of that sort, which would be very parallel to last year's summer, where we did have like Nintendo-specific showcases for, what was it last year? Last year we had Nintendo-specific showcases for Xenoblade, and then Pokemon and Splatoon, and so that was kind of their big three, but those were upcoming games. Nintendo doesn't have that this year, so doing sort of a bite-sized, spread-apart summer doesn't really fit. The only way it fits to me is if there is a hardware announcement shoved in there. I won't spend too much time on that, but there is a chance that Nintendo, instead of a Direct, has a late July, early August hardware announcement, and then that hardware is the focus of their Gamescom presence. That is also a possibility. I don't think we can do the same sort of separated, stilted summer because there aren't a bunch of games to have Directs on. There's literally Pikmin 4, and they'd have to have that Direct in late June or early July to prepare for the game, and then what? You're done? You have nothing, and Gamescom comes and goes. Like, it doesn't add up. So I think either we're getting the Pikmin 4 Direct and then a Nintendo Direct, or I think we'll get a Nintendo Direct, and I think it has to be well before August 23rd, and you can look at the past data, you can look at what they brought to Gamescom in 2017. Remember, Nintendo has not been to Gamescom in 4 years, so returning to Gamescom is very notable. It is a big move. It isn't just keeping status quo, it is changing the schedule. Ditching E3, going to Gamescom, they did it for a reason. They did it for a reason, and it has to be around game announcements, hardware announcements, or something along those lines that is coming between E3 and between Gamescom. Otherwise, there's no reason you ditch E3, but go to Gamescom. It doesn't make sense unless there's something to talk about and something to show. And they're not going to show Tears of the Kingdom again 2 months later. They won't do that. They'll tout the sales, sure. They'll probably have it playable, but they're not going to showcase Tears of the Kingdom. That just doesn't make any logical sense. And why spend the dollars when the game has already probably sold like 15 million copies by that point? So let me know what you think in the comments down below. When are you expecting a Direct? Do you like that we got our first bit of news from Ethan Gatch over at Kotaku saying, hey, sources are telling me both Nintendo and PlayStation will have additional digital showcases this year. You might poo-poo it, you might write it off, but nobody has heard nothing thus far. This is the first thing we've heard, and I'll take it, man. I'll take it, because I need confirmation that Nintendo isn't going to just sleep their way through the rest of the year. I've said for so long the second half will not be devoid of Nintendo titles. This just goes along to show you that is absolutely not going to happen. We will not have an empty second half, a coasting, as people like to say, second half for Nintendo. There will be stuff, and I'm freaking psyched for it. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here and supporting the channel. Make sure to stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, SwitchForce out.